So much for joining me for Leaders of Valor, Leadership Done the King's Way. So, I am Dr. Trent. I'm your host for this podcast, and the focus of the podcast is to show us how leaders who are kingdom focused versus culture focused um, live their lives, not only in the business world, but we believe in cultivating 360-degree leaders. So this can couple over into every aspect of life. Today, I want to talk about something really briefly, how we navigate transitions of life. We know that life changes very quickly, and change comes to every door, regardless of whether or not you've invited it or you've called it, it will come. Change is inevitable. So, we're going to talk really quickly about how we can navigate these transitions of life, and the fact that we are not alone during those times of transition. But first, we want to welcome in, as usual, Holy Spirit to come in and reach us right where we are. We want Him to be seen and heard and felt as we go through these couple of moments together. So, Holy Spirit, have your way. Do for us what only you can do and enlighten each heart according to what you need to be heard and seen and felt. Touch each heart right where we are, Father, and lead us according to your unthinkable wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We thank you in advance. If you don't have a Bible, as always, I implore you to go to the U Version Bible app. You can download it on any mechanism, any tablet. I even have it on my laptop. Download U Version, the U Version Bible app, and there are so many Bible plans and different things in this. It's so robust. Anything you need if you're wondering how to navigate being a girl mom or dad, a single parent, or someone who's moving into entrepreneurship. All of it is in there. How to get through loss and how to get through anxious moments. It's all in there. There's a Bible plan for everyone, and there's also the Bible study guides and Bible plans that I love to do. Every single year, I'm doing one or two read through the Bible in 365 days Bible plan, because I think it's great to be able to read through in a method that they've already scoped out for me. I don't have to worry about it. Also, you can opt to do all kind of reading plans with friends and family members, which I do. I do the group plans that we can read through together and share insights. So it's a very wonderful app to have. Plus, the Bible is in, I don't know how many different languages in this U Version Bible app. It's very portable. It's always with you, so you don't have to carry around a big Bible all the time. You can have the U Version Bible app, which is right there, and it can um, be easily accessible in the moments that you need it. So, we're going to go ahead and talk about navigating these transitions of life. Very important, because we're all going through transitions, regardless of where you are, your station in life, your political status. None of that really matters. When change comes to your door, doesn't matter how many millions or lack thereof you have in your bank account. When change comes, it's coming, and it's not going to knock. It's going to bully its way into our lives, and we see changes all the time. These transitions from being children to going to college to being an adult in the workforce, all of these different changes are a part of life. They are commonplace, and we cannot avoid them. Whether you are a woman who's going from childbearing years into perimenopausal periods of life, whether you are a man who lost his wife recently, who is now considered, you can't check married, you have to check widower when you are filling out forms. There's so many changes. Whether you're going from your 20s to your 30s, that 10-year period is a transition. Whether or not we notice it and take account of it, you are transitioning every single day of life, and definitely every year as you approach a different milestone: 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. They're all transition periods. So I hope that my 20s doesn't look like my 30s, look like my 40s, look like my 50s and beyond. I hope that I'm growing in those transition moments. But some transitions are positive and some hurt a lot. You may be suffering loss of a child or a loved one or a parent. You may see your parents who you once leaned on for everything. You're now their support as they go into their golden or senior years. So many transitions. I know people who have lost chief level status in hospital organizations and in other businesses who now have to go to working in lower level positions in other organizations. And many times these transitions can cause us to wonder why. Why am I going through this? Why me? Why am I the one? Maybe you're someone who transitioned from being that person who's a soccer mom and a football dad, and now all of a sudden you're an empty nester because your kids are gone and they're living their own lives. What's my purpose in the middle of all this? That was my purpose, being with my family and raising a family that God has given me. And now what? What am I supposed to do now that I'm in this transition period? But I'm reminded, if we read a couple of key verses here, Psalm 139:8, whether I ascend to the heights or whether I'm in the depths, he is there with me. God is with us wherever we go, even during the transition period. 1 Peter 5:7, cast our cares upon him. Why? For he cares about us. The Lord of the universe cares about us. So even in these difficult periods, or these periods where we don't want to embrace change, I don't know people who just love change. If a highway gets shut off and that's my usual route, I'm like, what's happening? If I expect something to happen as it usually does for the last 364 days, and then it doesn't on that day, change becomes uncomfortable for me and for many of us. We like routine. We like things to be the way we've designed them, and we like to be able to predict what's going to happen because we're human. But that doesn't always happen, right? What happens when Amazon Prime doesn't deliver your package on time? You get anxious, you get upset, you get worried because you said it was going to be this way. But transitions occur. Transitions in life, transitions in work, our professional lives, our home lives, our educational lives. If you're a teenager about to go into college for the first time, or you may be in your first semester this fall, transitions occur. College does not look like high school looked. It's a totally different mechanism. I had to learn that the hard way. I thought I could study the way I did in high school and do fine in college. I learned real quick. It ain't the same. So all of these transitions, we have to have a process for developing them all. And we have to be able to properly and appropriately navigate them in order to be successful in that transition in life. It will happen. You will transition from being a toddler to being a preteen, to being a teenager, to being a young adult, to being in your older years of life when you hit 60, 70, if God spares life, and you're blessed to see that age. Transition happens. It's going to happen. How we handle it defines whether or not we have successfully navigated that time or that situation in our lives. So in Psalm 27:13, it says, even in the transitions of life, even though I know all these things are going on around me, I will see what God has promised me here on this earth. I will see God's goodness here on this earth. So this is reminding us life is going to happen because life be life, and transitions will occur. But even in the midst of them, God is here with us. There was one prophet in the book of First Kings, the prophet Elijah, phenomenal prophet, one of the greatest prophets to ever live. As a matter of fact, he was one that did not die here on this earth. He ascended into heaven. God took him before he died and let him see the goodness of heaven. But Elijah said at one point, he was so discouraged by everything that had happened. Now, he'd had these major life transitions. He had become this major prophet, and he spearheaded this great miracle where God came down in fire form and he devoured everything that Elijah put before him, versus those who did not believe in God, the prophets of Baal and Asherah. Those people ultimately died. Elijah and those who believed in God put an end to them because they wanted to prove that God was the true God. Well, God came down and he supported Elijah and showed those who were around, which was, I believe, thousands, who witnessed this great event of God coming down onto that mountain where he stood on Mount Carmel. And God showed all who stood there, yes, Elijah's my prophet and I'm going to show up for him. And he came down in fire form and devoured the sacrifice that Elijah made to him. But even after all of that, Elijah was still in this place. He was threatened by the queen at that time, Queen Jezebel, who was Ahab's wife. She threatened him because He'd killed all of the prophets that she upheld and supported. So she was angry. She wasn't one who feared God and followed God, but she threatened Elijah. Elijah, even though he'd gone through this major incident of God showing up for him and supporting him and showing him that I am God, he fled from Queen Jezebel and went 400 miles to, I'm sorry, was it 200? 200 or 400 miles. He went a long distance that would have usually taken somebody a long time. He went to a long distance, and God sustained him to get to this place in the wilderness where he hid from one person, Queen Jezebel. And in that moment, God was like, Elijah, what are you doing here? And Elijah thought he meant, what are you doing here in this place, in this wilderness, when you just did such a great feat for me? I showed up for you. What are you doing here? But God actually meant, what are you doing here? What are you doing here in that mindset? And Elijah's response, well, I'm the only one left who serves you. And sometimes in our moments of transition and change and fear and anxiety set in, we believe we're the only one going through that situation. And God reminded Elijah, I have 7,000 others who have not bowed down to false gods, but who serve me faithfully. You are not alone. But sometimes, just like Elijah, we feel like we are alone in our wilderness. We feel like we are the only that's going through. I'm the only one who lost a child. I'm the only one who lost a spouse. I'm the only one who's unemployed. I'm the only one who can't pick up on this assignment and learn this material as the other students who are my age in my class at this university are doing. I'm the only one who is transitioning from being a mother with a full house to being an empty nester. I'm the only one who has to report to people who are younger than me. Yet I have more experience in life and in business, and now I've been demoted to this place. But God reminds us that we are not alone. He is here with us, and there are others all around us who are going through some of the same situations we are. So when we are in these moments of transition, it's amazing to know that God is with us, but it's also very important to know that He's placed people here on this earth to be with us. So there are 3 tips that I want to bring to us for us to remember as we go through transitions of life. They will come. They're inevitable. We cannot escape them. It doesn't matter how amazing your home is or how big your bank account is. Life happens and transitions will come for you. Believe me. So with that being said, there are 3 points, 3 things we must do to successfully navigate those transitional periods of life. The first, expand your network. And that means your friend circle, your group, those who are closest to you. Find support in others. There may be groups that you can join with people who have lost children or lost spouses, or people who are seeking employment, or people who just don't know what's going on in the political landscape. Join forces with people who are Christ-centric, right? Who have the right motives, and people who you are willing to grow with. Those people who remain positive in the moment, even though it hurts. Remain positive in those moments. That's the second tip. Join groups, lean on your network, and make sure that your family, your friends, and those you trust around you to be that support system for you are present. Then remain positive in the moment. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's something that we have to get through, and we have to deal with it mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. But beyond that, remember that better is coming. Even though I'm in the depths, God is here with me. Even though it hurts today, I know that I will see the goodness of God while I'm here on this earth. Not just when I get to heaven, but He's promised on earth as it is in heaven. So He wants us to live a sustained and fulfilled life here as well. I will see that even here. Even though it hurts, I will remain positive that better is coming. So, step 2, remain positive. Step 3, be sure that you don't look at somebody else's situation and automatically think it's yours. Even though they didn't navigate well, even though they may not have aged well, even though their retirement had to end early and they had to go back to work, don't take that on as your story. I know people who are living their best lives after such difficult transitions because they were positive and they had a great support group around them. So step 3, make sure that you take control of the situation. Don't let it control you and you live in fear and anxiety and angst and stress. That's just going to kill you. make sure you take control of the transition. Even though you may not be able to stop the wagon, you can guide the wagon, right? You can guide that horse wherever you want it to go. It has to succumb to you. So the transition will come. You have to keep rolling forward, but make sure you're guiding. You're in the driver's seat along with God, and you drive it where you want it to be. You can be vital. You can be somebody who is vivacious in life. You don't have to sit back on the sidelines and say, oh, I'm getting old. No, you control that. Exercise, get out, be um, very social in your circle and in your neighborhoods. All of that, all of it plays a big part in how your outcomes will roll out, how you will see life as you go through that transition. Live with vigor and vitality. It doesn't matter your age. What matters is your activity level and how you see life. What you feel internally will project outwardly to those around you. Don't think that reaching a certain age is a death sentence, or oh, I'm getting old and that means that I'm not anymore. I'm not vital any longer. Make sure that you are embracing life as it comes. You may have lost your spouse, but this may be an opportunity for you to branch out and be a support to somebody else who is ultimately going to go through something that you've gone through 3 years from now. But in those moments, embrace it and say, Lord, what am I supposed to learn from this? How do I move forward? How do I embrace this moment to ensure that I am moving forward in the purpose that you have for me? It may be his purpose now for you to help support somebody else who's going through what you have yourself been through. I know people who have lost children at young ages who were support systems for others as they navigated those difficult times as well. I know people who have lost spouses, people who have lost homes who are now support systems, even financially, for those who need a break in life because life happened and they lost something along the way. But those people were able to step in and God bless them in the midst of that transition to where they can now be a blessing to others. Think of it that way. What can I do in this transition, in this change period, that will help me be a blessing to those who are coming after me? Those are the 3 tips. Get a great support system. Lean on your family, your friends, your trusted allies and loved ones. Everybody who's in your circle. You may need to wean and tweak some of those, right? You may need to prune some things. Lean on God for that guidance. Holy Spirit will lead you to that. But those who you can trust to get you through that moment, be positive in the moment. See it as something, a means to an end to propel you to your next. And then make sure that you're using that moment. Live vitality. Live vitally in that moment. Embrace vitality and vigor. Don't look at it as a death sentence, but look at it as propelling you forward to your next great thing. And I guarantee you, God will use you in that moment. He will prepare you forward in that moment so that you can help someone else who's coming along the way. You never know how your story is going to end simply because you have taken the time to help others in the midst of their trials or their situations. He may be preparing you for that in this very moment. So don't see it as a death sentence or as anxiety stricken and fear provoking, but see it as a move forward into your next great step. I'm not 20 anymore. I'm in my 50s. But in these 50s, I'm going to rock that and I'm going to shine and I'm going to make sure that it is the best years of my life. My 50s doesn't have to look like somebody else's 50 who decided that it's the end of life simply because they reached a certain age. No, I'm going to be vital. I'm going to be vigorous in living this life and I'm going to live every single moment. Embrace the moments in this transition. Don't be so focused on getting past it that you miss the beauty that is in it. Every moment of life is beautiful. If you woke up and you're breathing, it's beautiful. So embrace that. And I just wanted to remind us of that this morning because I know it's an area God is working on in me. Embrace those moments.